This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 9. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by anybody. Matthew 24, 6 and 8. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Verse 7. For nation shall rise against nations, and kingdom against kingdoms, and there shall be famines and pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Similar precept. Mark 13, 7 to verse 8, starting with verse 7 in the book of Mark, and all the scriptures, and it reads, And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Be ye not troubled, for these such things must need be, but the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nations, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows. Now, there's Sky Resi. It's a getting clear. I feel free. Yep. So with that, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And I say, shalom to you Akim out there. As you seen, bring out those scriptures in reference of these two articles that I'm about to bring out in these sit-down lesson for tonight on this August the 16th, 2022 at 9:49 p.m. Central Standard Time on this Tuesday night. And this is a news article from RT.com. World News from RT.com. Was posted on August the 16th, 2022. And the highlight of this news article, and it reads, U.S. may sleepwalk into war with China. Asia leader says Washington and Beijing are leading the world into dangerous territories that Singapore future Prime Minister has told Bloomberg News. The U.S.-China tensions are rising in the wake of the U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan earlier this month, and the two countries are at increasing in the risk of stumbling into an unattended war. Singapore's Prime Minister in waiting has warned in an interview. We are starting to see a series of decisions being taken by both countries that will lead us into more and more dangerous territory, the Singapore Deputy Prime Minister Lawrence Wong said on Monday in an interview with Bloomberg News. Wong, who doubles as a finance minister, has been picked by the city-state ruling party to succeed the Lee Hsien Loong as prime minister, though the thing has been a handoff and hasn't been determined. The future prime minister warned that the Taiwan is just one flashpoint in the relations between Washington and Beijing, and regardless of intentions, a miscalculation can quickly escalate into conflict. It can easily become very dangerous, as we have been seeing recent events can escalate quite quickly, he mentioned. Not because either party wants this to happen, because as I said, both sides understand the consequences and really do not want to go into conflict. It says the leadership on both sides understand, as they say, no more deliberately wants to go into battle, but the sleepwalk into conflict as the biggest problem and danger. Beijing cut off ties of military and climate ties with Washington, and Pelosi's trip to Taipei, saying she has undermined China's sovereignty and embattled separatists in Taiwan. China responds with military in the region, and tensions escalated further when another congressional delegation travels to the self-governed island on Sunday. It says one says expect the U.S.-China relations to remain adversarial, at least two parties, because of the domestic politics in the two countries. He added that Singapore is not an ally to America and opposed Taiwan's independence. One, it echoed recent comments by the former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, who told the Wall Street Journal that Washington is aimlessly careening towards war with Russia and China. Yeah, because I did a video on that as well too. It says we are at the edge of war with Russia and China on issues with the party created without any conception of how this is going to end or what it is supposed to lead to, Kissinger said. Yep, that's that that's that sleepwalking into nuclear war, which is definitely is going to happen, because like he mentioned, they sleepwalking into war, and it's showing warning signs of that will lead to war between the two nations. Beijing, Washington, U.S., and China having tensions increasing now more than ever over the Taiwan situation. You're going to have a potential invasion of China invading Taiwan island. Then you're going to have a potential increase of war between the United States and China. And Beijing and Washington got issues with one another. So all these tensions are definitely increasing. And it's another news article bringing out as well too. This is from, because I did a video on this earlier today, and this is an actual update from this of the area of Syria. And this is a news article from arabnews.com, and a highlight of this news article, and it reads, and second update on this one, because I did the first video reporting about this. Now this is a second update on it. The highlight in this news article, and it reads, as I mentioned before, 25 dead in the airstrikes and shellings in North Syria. It says some smokes rise from an airstrike of the southwestern part of Syria town of En al-Arab, known as the Kobane, by the Kurdish in the Sanjufar province. It says Turkey's attacks targets Assad forces and Kurdish fighters in the bordering town. And it says at least 25 people were killed in northern Syria on Tuesday after Turkey launched airstrikes and artillery bombarding targets Assad regime forces with Kurdish fighters near the border town of Kobane. The Turkish shellings began overnight with artillery shells hits the town around its edge. It continues throughout the day, and at least one child was killed. The Kurdish YPG fighters from the Syrian Democratic Forces responded with a mortar attack on a Turkish border post in the Surlifa province that killed one soldier and injuring four. After a mortar attack, Turkey forces conducted a retaliation forces against the targets in the area. conducting a national information in the region. 13 terrorists were neutralized. Operations in the regions are continuing. The Defense Minister of Ankara says. It says, Difflin, a shopkeeper in command, said chaos broke out in the towns when the shelling intensified on Tuesday. People started running everywhere, cars everywhere, people asking about their friends and their family. Then the sounds started to build. The sounds were everywhere, she said. There was so much screaming, so much fear. Now everyone is locked up at home. Later on Tuesday, 11 people had died in the Turkish airstrikes on the Syrian border posts run by Assad regime forces. It was not clear if the dead were Syrian government troops or Kurdish fighters. Syrian regime forces had deployed in the area controlled by the SDF near the border with Turkey as part of the agreement intends to stem cross-border offenses by Ankara. Turkish Kurdish forces is as a terrorists says Turkey has launched a series of attacks since 2016. So yeah, this is an ongoing proxy war between the two or different organization factors starting Kurdish forces and Daesh, but has already resulted in the deaths of Syrian regime fighters. If regime forces are confirmed to be among those killed on Tuesday, the attack will be one of the largest escalations since Ankara and Damascus traded attacks since 2020, following a Syrian regime strike that killed 33 Turkish soldiers in the northwestern province of Idlib. If I pronounce that right, Turkey has stepped up its attacks on the Kurdish, it says, controlled areas of Syria since July, when President Rashid Tayyip Erdogan fails to obtain a green light from the region allies of Russia and Iran for a fresh offenses into the Syrian northern, northern Syria. Northern Syria. Turkey has been hostile to Syrian leader Bashar Assad-backed rebels calling for its removal. But last week, Foreign Minister Mevlut Kavusoglu enraged the Syrian opposition by calling for reconciliation between the regime and the rebels. So these tensions are definitely increasing between the nations. Especially, it's increasing now more than ever in the Middle East, and it's gonna increase more and more. They've been having ever since the Prime Minister of Turkey made that announcement back in June and July that he's gonna have that announcement of the operation in Syria, and they've been like that since then, And I believe in the article they said it's been the worst back and forth attack since 2020, and then it started back in 2016 as well too, all the way into now, because you got the Turkish soldiers into it with the Kurdish soldiers, which I believe they with the YPG organization group. So that's why you're seeing the tensions increase now more than ever. So this is a second update of me doing this, because they saying The attacks lasted basically the whole day. It was shellings and airstrikes as well too. You know, so hey, those tensions are definitely going to increase in that region. And then you've been having the class border tensions between the Syrian border and Israel border as well too. So these things are gonna intensify and increase, in the last days. Because as I brought up, the scriptures, a lot of commotions of wars, a lot of proxy wars, a lot of more increase of wars, rumors of wars, nations rising up against nations, now more than ever been so, on an everyday basis. It seems like every day is just intensifying, increasing, and increasing. Even though we are used to hearing these things, but it's been increasing now more than ever. The tensions between the nations, even though it goes back a long way back in history, all the way into now. You know, nations might have clashes with each other on and off, proxy wars ever since 2015 or 2016, for an example, or 2017, 2018, all the way into now. You've been seeing so many cases and stories like similar situations like that between the nations or different organization factors that's all stationed in one country, and it's definitely increasing and intensifying. So expect to see more of these things take place now more than ever, increasing at a more rapid level, you know. So with that, I hope this was edifying through the spirit, power, rest, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushua Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching his word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom and the ball be ball.